Hello everyone, I welcome you all to this amazing session of learning chemistry with me. आज हम पढ़ने वाले हैं two important topics of chapter carbon and its compounds, that is isomerism and the types of chemical reactions. Now before we proceed ahead, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel so that you always get an update from us and you get notified whenever we put a video on our channel. So without any further ado, let us start with the first topic of our lecture, that is isomerism. So let us see with the help of an example. Now, can you spot any similarity between these two structures? I can see that there are 4 carbon atoms here, right? And similarly, if I see this structure, here also we are having 4 carbon atoms, right? What about hydrogen atoms? Let us see how many hydrogen atoms are present in first structure. So we have 3 plus 2, that is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That means there are total 10 hydrogen atoms. And what about the second one? We have 3 plus 1, that is 4, and 3, that is 7, plus 3 we'll get 10. That means overall I can say that there are how many carbon and hydrogen in first structure, that is C4H10, right? What about the second structure, students? Here also we are having 4 carbon atoms and 10 hydrogen atoms. So can you see that both the structures have one common thing in between them, which is they have same number of carbon atoms and same number of hydrogen atoms. That means its molecular formula is same. But can you see that both of them are looking different? They are structurally different. And this gives rise to a topic, that is isomerism. So what is isomerism, students? The compounds which have same molecular formula, जैसे हमने अभी देखा, that is C4H10, right? Both of them were having same molecular formula, but they were having different structural formula, right? Structures जो दिखने में है, that are different. जो attachment है carbon की, that is different, right? So due to this, they show different physical properties. उनकी density भी अलग होगी, right students? Their melting point, boiling point, सभी properties अलग होंगी, although they are having the same chemical formula, right? And the chemical properties as well, right? तो इन दो structures को जो हमने last page पर देखा था, they are called isomers, right? And if I talk about this phenomenon, this will be called isomerism, right? Last will be the isomers of pentane. अगर pentane की बात करूं, so we have how many carbon atoms, students? We have 5 carbon atoms and we have 12 hydrogen atoms. सभी carbon atoms के बीच में कैसा bond है? We can see single carbon-carbon bond, right? So which is saturated alkane, right? अब देखते हैं, we can see a long carbon chain जिसके अंदर सभी carbon back to back एक दूसरे से जुड़े हुए हैं, which will be called N-pentane. I'll come to this IUPAC nomenclature in coming lectures as well. Okay, don't worry about that. अभी के लिए हमें सिर्फ स्ट्रक्चर्स बनाना सीखना है, राइट? और अगर मैं अरेंज करना चाहूँ इन्हीं 5 कार्बन एटम्स को इन अ डिफरेंट वे, बट आई हैव टू कीप इट इन माइंड कि मुझे फॉर्मूला चेंज नहीं करना है, राइट? सो आई कैन सी अ लॉन्ग कार्बन चेन ऑफ हाउ मेनी एटम्स, स्टूडेंट्स? 4 कार्बन एटम्स, एंड आई कैन सी a branch of 1 carbon atom, 1 methyl group is here, right? तो 4 की long chain और 5, 5th carbon atom is in branching, right? But still we have the chemical formula C5H12, right students? And last but not the least, I can also arrange this C5H12 in this manner, right? हमें 3 carbon की chain मिल रही है and I can see 2 branches here, राइट? 2 ब्रांचेस है जो कि इस 3 कार्बन एटम लॉन्ग चेन के ऊपर लगी हुई है, राइट? बट कैन यू सी, अगर स्ट्रक्चर डिफरेंट हुआ तो उसके साथ फॉर्मूला हमने नहीं बदला. दैट मीन्स इट्स फॉर्मूला इज स्टिल इंटैक्ट. इट इज C5H12. सो दीज आर 3 isomers of pentane, right? We have N-pentane, 2-methylbutane and 2,2-dimethylpropane. Okay, don't worry about the IUPAC. We will discuss it soon. Now, how many structural isomers can you draw for C4H9Br? So students, this question is given in NCERT. इसे बिल्कुल भी neglect नहीं करना because it can surely come in your boards as well. चलो, एक hint I will give you. You have to draw all the structural isomers of this compound, but I will tell you that how many structures would be possible. There will be 8 possible structural isomers for C4H9Br, right? तो हम 8 तरीकों से इस chemical formula को arrange कर सकते हैं. The formula will be same, but the structure would be different, right students? Now we are going to discuss about the chemical reactions of the carbon compounds. हमने कार्बन के बारे में बहुत सारी तारीफें सुनी, right? Now let us explore how does carbon and the compounds containing carbon react, right? What are the chemical reactions involved? We are going to study 4 reactions, right? The first one is combustion reaction, second is oxidation reaction, third one is addition reaction, and fourth but not the least we have substitution reaction. Okay, so we are going to discuss about each and every reaction one by one. तो सबसे पहले हम लोग पढ़ने वाले हैं combustion reaction के बारे में. Can you see something on the board? हाँ, कुछ जलता हुआ सा तो दिख रहा है, right? That means combustion actually होता क्या है? Combustion is basically burning of anything in the presence of oxygen, right? So let us see its definition first, right? तो क्या होती है combustion? It is basically the burning of carbon compounds in the presence of sufficient amount of oxygen. और carbon compound के जलने से हमेशा हमें क्या मिलता है? We get carbon dioxide, right students? And not only this, we get along heat and light, right? So let us see some of the reactions of combustion of carbon and its compounds, right? The first one is very easy. बचपन से पढ़ते आ रहे हैं that when carbon burns in the presence of oxygen, what do we get? We get carbon dioxide, and not only this, we get heat and light, right students? The second reaction, which is most important I guess, because it has come in various exams, especially in both students, right? So it states when methane, that is CH4, reacts with oxygen, that means we burn methane gas in the presence of oxygen, what do we get? We get carbon dioxide, and you all know that we get heat and light along with the combustion of methane, right? Last but not the least, can you name that compound? Yes students, this compound is ethanol, right? और जब भी हम ethanol को burn करते हैं in the presence of oxygen, what do we get? Again, it's a carbon compound. We are going to get carbon dioxide and water along with heat and light students, right? The most important thing जो हमें यहाँ याद रखनी है, that is the balanced chemical equation, right? You all should know how to balance these chemical equations. Now let us quickly see students what happens when saturated and unsaturated hydrocarbons are burned. Do they give the same color of the flame or different? So before I tell you the color of the flame, do you all remember कि saturated और unsaturated hydrocarbon में फर्क क्या था? The first was that the carbon-carbon bonds in the saturated hydrocarbons are single bonds, right? So all the carbon atoms are joined by single bond in saturated hydrocarbons. और अगर मैं बात करूँ unsaturated hydrocarbons की, which constituted of alkenes as well as alkynes, right? At least there should be one double or triple bond present in such hydrocarbons, right? So let us see, what can you see on my board, right? You can see that मम्मी जो घर पे LPG जलाती है, it is the same flame, right? Actually, it is the burning of LPG. What is LPG? That is liquefied petroleum gas. और LPG के main constituents क्या होते हैं? That is propane and butane. Yes, you heard it right. We have alkanes. The major constituents are saturated hydrocarbons, right? So it is generally observed that students, these saturated hydrocarbons burn with a blue and non-sooty flame. Now what does non-sooty mean? Let me show you a sooty flame to identify the difference between the both. So can you see the second picture students? इसमें we are actually burning an unsaturated hydrocarbon. Now what are the examples? For example, when your mother burns camphor, or I can say naphthalene balls, right? Both of them are examples of unsaturated hydrocarbons. Can you see this black soot which is coming out? Yes, that is called soot. That is the unburned carbon particles, right? So it is said that generally अगर हम unsaturated hydrocarbons की बात करते हैं तो we get yellow sooty flame, right students? Obviously, it is not the only parameter to judge the color of the flame. We do have other factors as well कि कितनी oxygen present है or there is sufficient or insufficient amount of oxygen, which comes in the category of complete or incomplete combustion. But if you are being asked in the paper that how will you differentiate a saturated and unsaturated hydrocarbon on the basis of the color of flame, then you're going to write that saturated hydrocarbons give us blue and clean flame, that is there is no soot present, and in unsaturated hydrocarbons we are going to get what? We are going to get sooty flame which is of yellowish color, right students? Let's move on to the next topic. Yes, that is oxidation reaction. So till now we have covered one reaction, that was combustion reaction. अब क्या होती है oxidation? As the name suggests कि ऑक्सीजन को ऐड कर रहे हैं और हाइड्रोजन को रिमूव कर रहे हैं, राइट स्टूडेंट्स? दिस वी हैव स्टडीड इन चैप्टर 1 एज वेल. बट इस ऑक्सीडेशन और कार्बन कंपाउंड्स के ऑक्सीडेशन में क्या फर्क है? Now, if you all remember that we studied in chapter 1 कि अगर हमें ऑक्सीडेशन करना है, if we want to add oxygen and remove hydrogen, कुछ ना कुछ ऐसे एजेंट्स तो ऐड करने ही पड़ेंगे which will oxidize the substance, right? And those substances are called oxidizing agents, right? Now the question comes, अगर मुझे एक अल्कोहल को कार्बोक्सिलिक एसिड में कन्वर्ट करना है, right? What will be the oxidizing agent which I need to add? That means ऐसा कौन सा agent है जो कि ऑक्सीजन ऐड कर देगा into the alcohol and we are going to get carboxylic acid. So this is a very important question students. You can use two oxidizing agents which I'm going to write on board right now. The first one is alkaline KMNO4, right? That is potassium permanganate students, right? Or you can also use, what else you can use? We can use acidified K2Cr2O7. Now what is this? This is known as पोटाशियम डाइक्रोमेट, राइट? इनमें से कोई भी एक ऑक्सीडाइजिंग एजेंट अगर हम यूज करते हैं, व्हाट विल वी गेट? We can convert alcohol into carboxylic acid. Now let us see what will happen if I oxidize this alcohol. What would be the name of this alcohol, students? Yes, that would be ethanol because it has two carbons, right students? Now if I want to convert and oxidize it into carboxylic acid, that is ethanoic acid, what do I need to add? Yes, you're absolutely right. जो हमने अभी ऑक्सीडाइजिंग एजेंट्स पढ़े थे वही हम इसमें डालने वाले हैं. You can either add alkaline potassium permanganate or you can add acidified potassium dichromate, right? And we have to heat the solution. Okay, now do you want to know a hack to find the solution to all the oxidation reactions from alcohol to carboxylic acid? Let me tell you, okay? तो ध्यान से देखते हैं what would be the trick to solve this question. Can you see these two hydrogen groups here, students? Yes, which are attached to the carbon which is having alcohol group. If I remove these two hydrogen, that means we have removed the hydrogen, and if I add oxygen in place of these two hydrogens, what will I get? I will get C double bond O. So the simple hack is we have to remove these two hydrogens which are attached to the alcohol group, और उसकी जगह पे हमें क्या लगाना है? वी हैव टू पुट अ डबल बॉन्ड ओ, राइट? अगर ऐसे ही हमें एक क्वेश्चन आ जाता है फॉर प्रोपेनॉल और ब्यूटेनॉल, व्हाट विल वी डू? वी विल जस्ट सिंपली रिमूव दीज टू हाइड्रोजन्स व्हिच आर अटैच्ड टू द अल्कोहल ग्रुप and we are going to add double bond O at that place. And what else? We are going to get byproduct water as well, right students? So this was the hack to solve this question. Now moving on ahead, let us see the third type of reaction which is addition reaction. Addition का मतलब we have to add something, right? So basically what we are going to do is we are going to add something, and what is that something? That something is a reagent, right? I'm going to tell you in few seconds what is that reagent. Let us see. So what we are doing is we are taking an unsaturated compound, that means ऐसा कोई भी compound जिसमें double या triple bond हो, right? And to that unsaturated compound we are going to add a reagent as well as a catalyst to obtain a saturated compound. सभी डबल बॉन्ड और ट्रिपल बॉन्ड को अगर हमें सिंगल बॉन्ड में कन्वर्ट करना है, we need to add something in it, right students? So इससे ये तो पक्का हो गया, that means addition reactions can be shown by only unsaturated compound, students, right? We cannot expect these saturated compounds to show addition reactions, right? So let us see what is a catalyst first. Did you see that I wrote catalyst here, right? तो कैटलिस्ट एक्चुअली होता क्या है? सो बेसिकली स्टूडेंट्स, इट इज अ सब्सटेंस जो कि ऑल्टर कर देता है रेट ऑफ रिएक्शन को. दैट मींस रिएक्शन को या तो फास्ट कर देगा या स्लो कर देगा, डिपेंडिंग अपॉन द टाइप ऑफ कैटलिस्ट, विदाउट इटसेल्फ अंडरगोइंग एनी चेंज. दैट मींस वो खुद कंज्यूम नहीं होता है. It doesn't undergo any change, right, students? And if I talk about the catalyst here, that will be nickel, right? Instead of nickel, you can also use platinum or palladium here. And what was that reagent? That reagent was hydrogen gas, right, students? So you can see on the screen that we have ethene. That means a hydrocarbon which contains carbon-carbon double bond in it, right? A two carbon containing compound. So if I add hydrogen in the presence of nickel, what do we get? You can clearly see that this bond has been broken, students. And if this bond has been broken, कार्बन के पास अभी कितने बॉन्ड्स रह गए? दैट मीन्स ओनली 3 बॉन्ड्स. बट कार्बन का पेट कब भरता है? कार्बन का पेट तब भरता है जब उसे 4 बॉन्ड्स मिलते हैं. दैट मीन्स वी आर गोइंग टू ऐड हाउ मेनी हाइड्रोजन एटम्स? वी आर गोइंग टू ऐड 2 हाइड्रोजन एटम्स, one to this carbon and the second one to this carbon, and as a result of this we get a saturated hydrocarbon which is ethane, right? Chalo, let us move on to the next example, that is what will happen if I add 1 mole of hydrogen gas in the presence of the same catalyst, that is nickel, in ethyne. Now what is ethyne? Ethyne is basically a carbon compound जिसमें 2 carbon है और एक triple bond है, right, students? So this is the first member of alkyne series. Do you remember? Okay, so जैसे ही इसमें हम H2 add करेंगे but only 1 mole, students, what will happen? We are going to get ethene. Did you see that only 1 bond has been broken, right? Because we added only 1 H2. और अगर मुझे इसे saturated compound में convert करना है completely, सभी bond मुझे single चाहिए, तो क्या करना पड़ेगा? We need to add 1 more hydrogen, right? 1 more mole of hydrogen in it, and what will I get? I will get ethane. So can you see that with addition of every hydrogen, right? You can see 1 mole hydrogen डाला तो एक bond टूटेगा. We are going to get a double bond, and if I add 1 more hydrogen, so we will break this bond. Again carbon के पास सिर्फ 3 bond रह जाएंगे, but it need to form 4 bonds, right? So finally we have ethane here, right, students? चलो अब पढ़ते हैं कि actually मैम ये हम addition reaction कर क्यों रहे हैं? What is the actual benefit, right? So let us study about the industrial application of addition reaction. That is hydrogenation of oils. What is hydrogenation? हाइड्रोजन को ऐड करना ही हाइड्रोजनेशन है, राइट? वी आर एडिंग हाइड्रोजन. ओके, सो दिस इज एन अनसैचुरेटेड कंपाउंड, और ये कोई ऐसा वैसा अनसैचुरेटेड कंपाउंड नहीं है. दिस इज एक्चुअली वेजिटेबल ऑयल विच इज बीइंग यूज्ड एट योर होम, राइट? इट इज अ लिक्विड, राइट स्टूडेंट्स? और जब हम इस अनसैचुरेटेड कंपाउंड में हाइड्रोजन ऐड करेंगे, वी विल डू हाइड्रोजनेशन इन द प्रेजेंस ऑफ निकल or in the presence of platinum or palladium, and we will heat this. What we are going to get? We are going to get a saturated compound which is vegetable ghee, जो कि हम देखते हैं it gets solidified, right students? जब हम गोलगप्पे खाते हैं, we can see that the vendor is using dalda, right? That dalda is cheaper, that is very cheap. So that dalda or vanaspati, that is saturated fat, students, that is not good for our health, right? Yes, you heard it right. जो भी vegetable oils होते हैं, they are comparatively better for our health, right? So if I have to choose one out of these two, what will I do, students? I would choose vegetable oil instead of vegetable ghee, which is a saturated fat, students, right students? Okay, now let us see one question based on the topic we have studied so far. Question कहता है कि which of the following hydrocarbons will undergo addition reaction? अगर आपको याद हो, आई टोल्ड यू कि एडिशन रिएक्शन से वही कंपाउंड्स दिखा सकते हैं जहां पे अनसैचुरेशन हो. दैट मींस आइदर दे विल हैव डबल बॉन्ड और ट्रिपल बॉन्ड, तभी तो कुछ ऐड कर पाएंगे बाय ब्रेकिंग दैट कार्बन कार्बन बॉन्ड, राइट स्टूडेंट्स? चलो पहला देखते हैं. फर्स्ट इज C3H8, दैट मींस 3 to the 6 plus 2, that means it is following the formula CnH2n plus 2, that means it is an alkane, students. right? So it cannot show addition reaction. Let us see the second option, that is 5 2s are 10 plus 2. That means again it is following the formula of alkane, students. So it cannot show addition reaction, right? Saturated compounds nahi dikhate addition reaction. What about the third one? 6 2s are 12. It is just the double of the number of carbon atoms. That means it is following the formula CnH2n, right, students? So it is an alkene. What is the name of this alkene? This is hexene, right? There are 6 carbon atoms. So it is surely going to show the addition reaction. Let us see the last one also. The last one states 2 into 2 gives 4 plus 2, we will get 6, right? So यहाँ पे अगर हम check करेंगे, it is following the formula CnH2n plus 2, which is again an alkane, students, right? So it is not going to show addition reaction, right? Now let us move ahead and study about the last and the fourth type of chemical reaction, which is being shown by the carbon compounds, right? As the name suggests, substitution reaction. That means we are going to substitute, right? So as the name suggests, an atom or group of atoms in a molecule is replaced or substituted by different atom or group of atoms, right, students? Now let us understand this substitution reaction with the help of an example, right? Chalo, can you see that we have methane here, right? अब मीथेन के अंदर हमने डाली है क्लोरीन गैस, बट इन द प्रेजेंस ऑफ सनलाइट, यस, सनलाइट की प्रेजेंस के बिना ये रिएक्शन हो ही नहीं सकती है, स्टूडेंट्स, राइट? नाउ इफ आई सब्स्टिट्यूट वन हाइड्रोजन आउट ऑफ दीज 4 hydrogen atoms with 1 chlorine atom, what will I get? I'm going to get CH3Cl, right? मतलब 4 हाइड्रोजन जो मीथेन के अंदर जुड़े हैं उसकी एक जगह पर कौन आ जा रहा है? We are getting chlorine here, right? और Cl2 में से एक क्लोरीन अगर रह जाए and this hydrogen which has been substituted by Cl group, right? What will I get? We will get HCl, that is hydrogen chloride. Similarly, अगर हम इस process को continue रखें, if I keep on adding one more molecule of Cl2 in this CH3Cl molecule, then how many hydrogen can you see? You can see 3 hydrogen atoms, and if it substitutes only 1 hydrogen atom, what will I get? I will get dichloromethane, right? And as usual, we are going to get HCl here. Next, can you see that one more hydrogen has been substituted from this dichloromethane, right? And if I substitute one more hydrogen with the chlorine, कितने hydrogen रह जाएंगे? Only 1 hydrogen atom will be left, right, students? So this is called trichloromethane. Do you remember पुराने ज़माने की movies में they used to put a hanky, right, while kidnapping? What was that? Actually, that was chloroform, students, right? It is used in anesthesia. This is the same anesthesia, that is CHCl3, which is called trichloromethane, or I can say chloroform, students, right? Isn't it interesting? And as usual, we are going to get HCl. And last is CHCl3 के अंदर अगर एक और मॉलिक्यूल डाल दे Cl2 का, that means जो लास्ट बेचारा हाइड्रोजन बचा है that will also be substituted, उसे धक्का मार दिया जाएगा and it will have only and only chlorine, right? And we'll get HCl as well, right, students? So this is tetrachloromethane. That means all 4 hydrogen atoms will be substituted by the chlorine, right? So we need to add 4 chlorine molecules in order to substitute all the hydrogen atoms of methane and substitute it by chlorine, right? Chalo. So let us solve one last question of this section, that is, chlorine reacts with saturated hydrocarbons at the room temperature in the, first is absence of sunlight, second is presence of sunlight, third is presence of water, and fourth is presence of HCl, right? You all know, students, कि substitution reaction, that is the addition of chlorine in the presence of sunlight, is done to substitute the hydrogen atoms of methane, जो भी अभी हमने पढ़ा, right? So clearly we can see that the answer for this question will be option number 2. Right? So that's all for the types of chemical reactions which are being shown by the carbon compounds. I hope you all enjoyed this lecture and you got to know so many things about the carbon and its compounds. Thank you.